Sat Gurubhyo Namaha. I am Aishwarya Harish, the Cultural Coordinator for Nrityodaya, the Academy of Performing Arts, Mumbai. We are happy to welcome each one of you to the 14th session of the Young Researchers Forum, a joint initiative by Nrityodaya Mumbai and the Shasun College Center for Excellence, Art and Culture, Chennai. We have been having a wide variety of subjects that have been covered in this research forum as an ongoing online initiative with the objective of providing worthy platform to young researchers. We are hopeful that we are going to be getting a lot of interested researchers contacting us. We invite each one of you to kindly contact us to make your presentations. You could just send us an email on the young tyrforum@gmail.com. We begin session 14 on an auspicious note with a prayer being rendered by Master Vishak Ramakrishna, student of Vaishnavi Anand, Chetas, Singapore.
Namaste. Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Pankajanabha Murare Pankajanabha Murare Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Pankajanabha Murare Paramapurusha Jagadisha Sarasiruha Bhava Shankara Vasava Sarasiruha Bhava Shankara Vasava Sannuta Charita Shaure Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Pankajanabha Murare Charuvidrita Vanamala Kaustubha Charuvidrita Vanamala Kaustubha Shashwata Kamaladine Yesha Sarangadipu Shashwata Sarangadipu Tava Vimochana Sarangadipu Tava Vimochana Syanandurapu Resha Paramapurusha Jagadishwara Jaya Jaya Pankajanabha Murare Paramapurusha Jagadisha
Thank you, Vishak, for that very apt and wonderful rendition. I now call upon Dr. Jayashree Rajagopalan, Director, Nrityodaya, the Academy of Performing Arts, to welcome our guests and audience.
Om Sadgurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Sai Ram. Namaskar, and a very warm welcome to each one of you who have joined us for this 14th session of the Young Researchers Forum, initiated by our institution, Nrityodaya, the Academy of Performing Arts, Mumbai, and the Center of Excellence, Art and Culture, Shankarlal Sundarbai Shasun, Jain College for Women, Chennai. We've been very fortunate to have the blessings of our Guru, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, who auspiciously flagged off the series by giving an invigorating inaugural talk showing the importance of Indic studies and the research methodology that she placed before the young scholars. My pranams to you, Akka, for standing with us as a pillar of support at every session of this Young Researchers Forum. Our young researcher today is Dr. Parimal. Dr. Parimal Phadke would be speaking on the concept of Nayaka for Bharatanatyam. A very warm welcome to you, Parimal. We are looking forward to this very interesting topic, very relevant for all male artists. We are very grateful to Dr. Ketu Ramachandra Shekhar for having accepted our invitation to be an expert in this session. We look forward to your dimension of the concept of Nayaka in Natya, according to our Shastras and our ancient treatises. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are looking forward to this session, and I now request Dr. Rajashri Vasudevan to introduce our speakers.
Sadgurubhyo Namaha. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our expert for today as also the young researcher. It is said, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. I think we cannot find a better example of that than our expert in our midst today, Dr. Ramachandra Shekhar. We can make that out particularly because his tutelage has been under none less than Guru Vidya Vachaspati, Brahmarishi Goda Venkateshwara Shastrigal. He is currently the head of projects at Bharatiya Samskriti Trust, a non-profitable organization. Academically, he has a doctorate in Indian epistemology, a very dynamic field to say the least. He is a recipient of the Prince of Wales Medal, University of Madras. He was selected as a fellow from 100 young scholars all across India for studies in neuroaesthetics and Indian rhetoric by Ministry of Culture, Government of India. His achievements are many. We are here just to list a few. He was part of the academic team of scholars across Europe on discussion of Natya texts and a member of Aix-en-Provence University, France academic panel. His expertise in Shaiva Pratyabhigya school is well recognized by scholars of Kashmir Shaivism. He is a regular contributor to the journals on the works and contributions of Acharya Abhinavagupta. Several research articles and books to his credit include a detailed study of Abhinaya Darpana of Nandikeshwara and Devi Mahatmya. His advice is also sought in matters relating to the Prayoga aspect of Tantra Shastra by established centers of Shakti worship like Kollur and Kanchipuram. It gives us immense pleasure and great pride in welcoming you, Dr. Ramachandra Shekhar, in our midst today, and we are looking forward to several valuable inputs on the researcher's presentation today. Namaskaram. We have the young researcher, Dr. Parimal Phadke. He is a man of many parts, a Bharatanatyam performer, choreographer, and lecturer. He is a performing artist and shortlisted as the artistic director by ICCR. He is the visiting faculty to the Alliance for Global Education. Academically, he has a BCom, MA and PhD in dance with reference to Bharatanatyam. He has a postgraduate diploma in television production. His books and publications include presentation of numerous papers and research projects at national and international conferences in Pune, Spain, Thailand, and Malaysia, e-books and articles on Bharatanatyam, a DVD, Nritya Sangam, the new avatar in the US, directed, choreographed, and scripted, produced many dance productions. He has conducted several workshops for dance institutes in Houston, Richmond, Lexington, Madison, Washington, D.C., Columbus, Spain, and New York. His awards and achievements include Guru Rohini Bhate Yuva Puraskar, Pune Municipal Corporation, 2016, Kala Tirtha Puraskar, Bell Entertainment, 2015, citation from Bangiya Samsad, Pune for dance, 2012, Yuva Nritya Puraskar from Shivashahi Mitra Mandal, 2009. He has qualified with the UGC National Eligibility Test and won the Junior Research Fellowship in 2001. He has a scholarship from the Ministry of Culture for studying dance in 2000. He was honored with the national title, Singaramani for dance, Sur Singar Samsad, Mumbai, 1998. He has performed in prestigious Indian and international dance festivals and productions in New Delhi, Pune, Mumbai, Chennai, and Spain, France, China, Muscat, Malaysia, and US. Widely traveled, we welcome you here to our Young Researchers Forum, and we're looking forward, Parimal, to a very interesting presentation. You can begin your presentation now. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. At the very outset, I would like to thank NAPA Mumbai and Center of Excellence Art and Culture, Sri Shankarlal Sundarbai Shasan Jain College for Women, Chennai, for creating this Young Researchers Forum, thus motivating this whole new generation of research scholars who want to strive hard to bring interesting insight under the guidance of their guru and guides. I would also like to thank my guru and guide, Dr. Jayashree Rajgopalan, who has been like a strong support, a big support system in my life, without whom I wouldn't have entered this area of research. And she is like a lighthouse whenever I need to discuss matters of theory, matters in dance. And it is because of her undying, selfless support that I have been able to survive in the field of dance, and also strive as much as I can in the field of research. I would also like to thank Dr. Ketu Ramachandrasekhar sir for agreeing to be an expert for this session. And my pranams to all the viewers online who have come here for this session as well. The topic of my paper is the concept of Nayaka for Bharatanatyam. Bharatanatyam, with its roots in the Devadasi system, resulted in the concept of Nayika being explored extensively in the compositions of Bharatanatyam Margam. If we analyze the traditional Devadasi repertoire, we realize that the concept of Nayika formed the core of the Margam. Even in post-independent India, when male dancers entered the scene of Bharatanatyam, the concept of Nayak was never the focus. Even today, the concept of Nayika still forms an important part of the pedagogy and performance for the male Bharatanatyam dancers too. I feel it is important for male dancers to explore the concept of Nayaka in traditional Bharatanatyam Margam, which will give full justice to the gender and its expression in performance. An in-depth study of the existing traditional Bharatanatyam compositions revealed that only a handful of Nayaka-based padams and javalis exist in tradition. An interesting observation is that many of these Nayakas reflected in these limited number of compositions cannot be exactly classified as per the Nayaka classification mentioned in the Natya Shastra and the post-Natya Shastra text as well. This itself emphasizes the requirement of new compositions featuring the Nayaka for the male dancers to express their gender than performing only Nayika-based compositions. Here, I would like to mention a very interesting point. During the reign of Sarfoji II, Shivanandam, one of the Tanjore quartets, an accomplished dancer himself, encouraged men to perform Sadir, which was a revolutionary step since males were restricted to teaching and not performing. At the insistence of Shivanandam, Sarfoji II built a special hall inside the palace so that men could learn and practice the art form. Amongst the males who performed, Subbaraya Pandaram is said to have brought laurels to his guru. But this did not bring any change in the repertoire as seen from the available Tanjore quartet compositions. So we can safely conclude that the male dancers would also dance Nayika-based content. Post-independent India saw many male dancers take it as a profession. Many male dancers passed out from the Kalakshetra school, which was established by Rukmini Devi Arundale in 1936, establishing themselves as performers and teachers. But there seems to have been no major effort to underline the possibility of Nayika-based content for the Bharatanatyam repertoire on Markham. The pedagogy and performance of Nayika-based content from the male dancers still continues to persist even today. One solution which some male dancers have come out with is the choice of bhakti compositions to neutralize the complexities arising from gender. Another effort done by some male dancers is to make it more theatrical, involving characters from mythology. I feel both these methods have serious drawbacks. Using too many bhakti compositions can result in monotony of content, and resorting to theatricality can break the subtle form of Bharatanatyam, which doesn't exactly resemble Kathakali, wherein illustrative abhinaya is given preference. I feel in order to give justice to the male expression in Bharatanatyam, it is important to analyze the concept of Nayaka in ancient and medieval texts, which will help in understanding the male psyche in the Indian cultural context as expressed in ancient and medieval Indian literature. The first step which I had to locate was the flow of the concept of Nayaka from the Natya Shastra to the post-Natya Shastra texts. Bharata talks about Nayaka in the 34th chapter, and this particular chapter discusses Prakriti or human nature. Bharata, in his Prakriti Adhyaya, divides the male characters into Uttama, Madhyama, and Adhama. I will just start with my first slide. Yes. The word Nayaka means the hero of a poetic composition, play, or drama. In the Natya Shastra, Nayaka has been defined as the one who relieves himself from any contingency and triumphs over all the hurdles and appears to be the protagonist amongst all the other male characters of the play. Then Bharata goes on to list the 4 types of Nayaka. All the 4 Nayakas types have been identified amongst the Uttama and Madhyama variety. They have been divided. Sorry. Yes. They have been divided into the following: Dhirodhata, brave and aggressive; Dhira Lalita, brave and sportive; Dhirodata, brave and magnanimous; and Dhira Prashanta, brave and calm. The prefix Dhira could mean brave, courageous, firm, and resolute. The word Dhira is to identify the individuality of the Nayaka and highlight him in the play. Thus, it is obvious from the definition that he does possess some special qualities, and therefore the word Dhira has been used to justify the uniqueness. There isn't a detailed description of the qualities of these Dhira Nayakas in the Natya Shastra, which we come across in the later texts. Probably plays already existed during the time, which had a clear character sketch about the 4 Nayaka types. Bharata allots the Nayakas as per the status or Varna. He allots gods to Dhirodhata, king to Dhira Lalita, general of the army or minister to Dhirodata, and Brahmana and Vaishya to Dhira Prashanta. Bharata believes in linking the Nayaka with the status, and he links the status and the Prakriti. He links the status with the Prakriti or nature. Bharata has not classified the Nayakas under Shringarasa, but the same classification with different terminologies but almost the same attributes get reflected in the 25th chapter of Vaishikopachara, which is why I have also included Vaishika in herein. The term Vaishika means a person who associates oneself with the courtesans or Ganikas. Bharata also means the same, with an addition that he is also well versed in various arts. But Abhinav Gupta brings clarity as he says that a man who is a skilled lover and knows the minute details about lovemaking is a Vaishika. Vaishika could also mean one who is a quixotic lover and possesses all the qualities which make him popular amongst women for his sheer valor, etiquette, and flamboyance. Bharata elaborates on all such qualities needed for a man to entice a woman to keep a harmonious relationship with his partners. From here, yes, it is only in Agni Purana that Nayakas under Shringara Rasa get classified properly for the first time. Does that mean that Bharata did not hint at this in his Natya Shastra? No, definitely not. In the chapter of Samanya Abhinaya, Bharata mentions the behavior of a Shatanayaka under the examples of 4 types of jealousy. And he also uses terminology like Priya for Anukula and Dushila, Durachara, Vama, and Virupa, Nilajja, Nishthura, as different shades of what later was termed as Drishtanayaka. After Agni Purana, I would like to draw your attention to an interesting commentary of Dhanika to Dhananjaya's Dasharupaka. After defining the Dhirodhata, Dhanika, the commentator of Dhananjaya's Dasharupaka, proposes that these 4 Dhira Nayakas could come as Avastha Bhedas and need not be like an unchangeable Varna system. To prove his point, he has given the example of Parashurama, who is Uddata, Uddhata, and Shanta in different situations. From here, he takes off into a very interesting discussion, and he immediately criticizes this theory which he proposes. He says that Nayaka cannot have such avastha Vedas, and that authors who have written such contradictory situations are flawed. He says that Lord Rama, who is Dhirodhata, is shown to be Dhirodhata when he hides to kill Vali. This is an error on the part of the writer or author or playwright. That is what he tries to highlight. On the basis of the above example, I was just thinking if we could propose a theory where we can have a Sthai Nayaka and a Vyabhichari Nayaka. This basic prakriti of that Sthai Nayaka will not change, but situations make it inevitable that Nayaka for that situation will go through an Avastha Beda and become another Nayaka. In the above example, Rama is a Sthai Dhirodhata Nayaka, but circumstances made it inevitable that Vali had to be killed stealthily. Thus, at that moment, he's a Vyabhichari Dhirodhata Nayaka. But this is a fleeting phase, and he still is a Dhirodhata Nayaka. The most challenging amongst the most challenging amongst the classifications I felt was Bhoja's in Bhoja's Shringara Prakasha, because Bhoja takes a totally opposite stand and he regards the Dhira and the Shringara varieties as fluid. Bhoja in Shringara Prakasha makes both the Dhira and the Shringara Nayakas as fluid as in nature. So there are examples of Shiva and there are examples of characters who in one play or in one story appear as 3 different Nayakas of the Dhira variety or the Shringara variety, thus making it extremely fluid. And therefore, if I have to chart the trajectory of the concept of Nayaka, it could be a fluidity scale where in the Natya Shastra, it is very specific. In the Dasharupaka, it is like the tipping point where they are trying to decide whether to hold the Dhira varieties as Avastha Beda or not. And where in the Shringara Prakasha, it is absolutely fluid. The 15th century text Rasamanjari purely focuses on Shringara Nayakas. And purely focuses on the Shringara Nayakas. But interestingly, however, none of the examples to explain the Nayakas have verses with the Nayaka talking in first person. And this is always a challenge that when, as a dancer, you're trying to explore a performative element and you're trying to see whether these Nayakas have been explained with verses from the perspective of the male or from the perspective of the Nayaka, it is always a challenge because it is always seen from the perspective of the female, and she is describing or expressing in such a way that the Nayaka is being interpreted. So from this study of Nayaka, concept of Nayak in the Natya Shastra and post Natya Shastra, I could gain that the macro study, from the macro study of the concept, we see gradual progression towards a micro study in the classification of Nayak, resulting in the increase in the number of classifications. The interpretations of definitions have certainly changed. The Shringara Nayakas have been interpreted both on the level of monogamy and polygamy, and the treatment of the Nayika by the Nayak individually or with each other. It seems for Bharata, the concept of Dhira Nayakas is more specific and well outlined since he has attached the Varna or status to it. But for some authors like Bhoja, it becomes an absolutely fluid and an intermingling concept. Thus, all through the theory of Nayak, though the seed is the same which Bharata has sown in his Natya Shastra, this concept of Nayak has indeed resulted in a vast banyan tree with several branches trying to interpret, explain, and classify this concept of Nayak. So after this analysis, I turned towards the traditional composers of Varnams, Padams, and Javalis. I did not come across a single Pada Varnam in the published and available collection of Tanjore quartet compositions featuring the Nayak in the first person. It is always the Nayika addressing the Sakhi or the Nayak. In spite of available sources, which hint at the existence of male dancers, which I have mentioned before, we still don't find any Padavaranam or Padam or Javali, Padavarnam and Javali mentioned in Tanjore quartet compositions, which feature the Nayaka in the first person. So I had to choose composers who have written a vast collection of Padams, and my focus went to Kshetraya. I focused on Shringara Padams of Kshetraya to see whether I could spot Nayaka Padams. In this vast collection, I found only 15 Padams, which featured the Nayaka in the first person. But the interesting part is very few can be classified as per the classifications in the post Natya Shastra or Natya Shastra text. It clearly hinted at the possibility of Ashtanayakas and many more. But I needed tangible proof to classify the Nayakas parallel to Nayikas. Would that methodology fall in the tradition of our Shastras? So therein began the search of whether having a parallel classification as per Nayika, was it right? Was it exactly what Shastras would advise? And so I landed with some very interesting verses in Bharata's Natya Shastra itself, which hint at that possibility. Sorry. Yes. Right. Bharata in his Dashavasthas in the 24th chapter of Samanya Abhinay clearly states that these avasthas or mental states are common to both men and women. As we see in the last lines, Tripaunsayoresha Vidhed Lakshanancha Nibodhata. These 10 conditions apply equally to men and women. The context might be the avasthas but the resultant conclusion which has been drawn by me is the parallel interpretation of Nayak from the Nayika classifications. If the avasthas or the psychological conditions mentioned by Bharata applies to Nayak and Nayika, this methodology makes it clear that Bharata knew that irrespective of gender, every situation can lead to a different Nayika and thus Nayaka Bhedas too. This is also very evident. This is also very evident when Bharata mentions the Viyoga of a Purusha clearly, hinting at the Virodh Kantita Nayaka. This also happens in the Samanya Abhinay chapter itself. Also, we must note that Bhoja has drawn Nayika parallels to the terms used by Bharata for Dhira Nayakas. Uddhata, Lalita, Uddata, and Shanta are terminologies mentioned by Bharata, and Bhoja comes with Uddhata, Lalita, Uddata, and Shanta. The only difference being that Bharata classifies the Dhira Nayakas from the perspective of drama, and Bhoja finds Nayika parallels under Shringara Rasa. Therefore, I feel this authenticates my research methodology of finding Nayika parallels to Nayika classifications. So after comparing and after going through an extensive study of the Nayika classifications, I tried to come out with a new classification chart, which has some very interesting new classifications which haven't been attempted before. Amongst this, I would like to highlight Mrita Patnika and Mrita Priya, basically a widower. And the example of Vipralamba Shangara and Rudrata's Shangara Tilaka actually explains, and there are verses wherein the Nayak is actually seen lamenting on the death of his lover. So that has been derived from that particular example. Abhisandhita, Rasamanjari mentions Abhisandhita, the one after Kalahantarita, when she wants to again patch up, when she wants to again unite with her lover in spite of the conflict. So in this case, I feel Priye Charu Shile, the Ashtapadi of Krishna, will be Abhisandhita, according to me. Jyeshtha and Kanishta. Now, in the context of Nayika, it's always wherein she has co-wives, and is she the elder one or is she the younger one? Now, in this case, if we have somebody like Draupadi, and if we are trying to see from the perspective of Draupadi's husbands, could be Yudhishthira or Arjuna, and if we have such a composition, then automatically it would be a Jyeshtha or a Kanishta in that context. The Mugdha, Madhya, and Pragalbha have been derived from Kavyalankara and Sringara Tilaka, and and these texts. This is the final tally of my chart derived, and now I'm trying to show you the 3 examples which I have worked out in choreography. And first would be Padavarnam. It is interesting to see that we don't have any Padavarnam, so I had to kind of write in Hindi. I tried to write a Padavarnam in Hindi and got it transliterated from a Telugu poet here, late Dr. T. Venugopal. So here I have tried to experiment where in the first half we have the Viraha of Lord Rama, but in the second half we get to see the Dhirodatta aspect where he's angry at Ravana and he's trying to kind of give a kind of bodha to Ravana as to how he has erred as a king and how his integrity, he has lost his integrity. So both these aspects of Rama have been tried to explore. I've tried to explore both these aspects. So I'm showing the first clip, which is the Padavarnam. Just bear with me. I'm just opening the file. I'm sorry for this. Okay. We'll have to open it here, I think. Okay, I will shift to, there is a small technical issue here. I'm just trying to open this file.
You can even come back, in case it's a video, Parimal, you can come back to it later.
Sure, sure.
Maybe you can just, continue with the...
Yes. Okay, I'll start with the Javali first. That's working. So I'll start with the Javali first, and yes. This, of course, is from the traditional repertoire, and it is Taru Maru, and it is the expression of a jilted lover. In this case, it would be a Vipralabdha, because he's trying to ask to his love as to why she's trying to play with her words? Why is her talk flip-flop? Why is it not fixed and clear? And why is she trying to talk back and forth? That itself means that she is not expressing, or she's not responding to his love. Moving on to the next. Okay, this is the Padavarnam. Just quickly sharing this. Finally, it shifts to the anger of Rama as through the eyes of the Dhirodatta Nayaka. And one final composition, which is a Parakiya Nayaka, And these verses I got from Rudrata's Kavyalankara.
बणतरुणी रमणमन्दिरम् आनन्दस्यन्दे सुन्दरेन्दुमुखी रमणमन्दिरम् आनन्दस्य दे सुन्दरेन्दुमुखी यदि सल्गीलया उल्लापिनी सल्गीलया उल्लापिनी सल्गीलया उल्लापिनी सल्गीलया गच्छसि गच्छसि रमणमन्दिरं गच्छसि गच्छसि रमणमन्दिरं गच्छसि.
So the methodology which I arrived at was the analysis of the classifications of Nayaka in Natya Shastra and post Natya Shastra with their examples for available classifications. The Natya Shastra and the post Natya Shastra texts are an ideal starting point to understand the classifications which exist under Sanskrit literature. As a researcher, I tried to look at the wide gamut of these texts from Natya Shastra to the post Natya Shastra texts covering the topic of Nayaka. It was an interesting journey because I got to discover several classifications and also the perspective of what the authors were looking at in the context of Nayaka. From fluid to the specific, this was a scale which was derived and which kind of got discovered in this whole trajectory of looking at the Nayaka classifications from Bharata to the post-Bharata authors. The following research has also brought to light the limited Nayaka-based content existing in our Bharatanatyam tradition, and which is why in my research, I've tried to create around 20 to 30 compositions representative of these classifications in language of Tamil, Telugu, Sanskrit, and also Braj, thereby making it easy for male dancers from different regions of India also to adapt this content in their style, in their repertoire. And finally, I think this will also, I feel, impact the pedagogy, because I remember during my childhood when I started learning, the available compositions were primarily from Tanjore Quartet. So my Varnam was Manavi Chekona, the Telugu Varnam of Tanjore Quartet. And I remember my guru trying to search for compositions which would give justice to my gender. And that kind of sowed the seed. And when I came to Vijika, when I came to Dr. Rajgopalan, I realized that this had to be explored. And she was the right guide and mentor because she had seen this whole span of Sanskrit texts through her in-depth study in Indic studies. And of course, the insight which she received from our Paramaguru, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. All this helped me in actually going in depth in this research and arriving at this probably wide gamut of classification of Nayaka, which can be derived from the tradition itself, which has given us so much, the insight which Bharata and post-Bharata authors have given to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Parimal. I think that was a very thought-provoking presentation. I'm sure a lot of people will be trying to assimilate the different dimensions that you have brought out. So a lot of it will be added to, I suppose, by Dr. Shekhar as well. So I now request him to please give his valuable comments on Dr. Parimal's presentation. Thank you.
Namaste. Namo Yamini Natha Rekhalankrita Kuntalam Bhavanim Bhavasantapa Nirvapana Sudhanati. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers, the Nrityodaya and the School of Excellence of Shasam Jain College for giving this opportunity, and congratulate Dr. Parimal Phadke for the excellent presentation. What else to say? I think he covered most of what I had prepared for myself. So, but anyway, I'll try to see how best I can try to complement his presentation. I'll just go on to my presentation right now. So yes, the journey starts with the Natya Shastra text. In this context, I'd like to mention that in the Natya Shastra, though it is not a hard classification that we come across, but we have this Nayika who addresses the Nayaka who is in endearment. She addresses the Nayika in 7 different modes: Priya, Kanta, Vinita, Natha, Swamin, Jivita, Nandana. And a Nayika who is in displeasure, she addresses the Nayaka as Dushila, Durachara, Shatha, Vama, Vikathana, Nirlajja, and Nishthura. So this is one, though it's not a hard classification, but it gives a hint as to where this is going to go or where it is going to move on. So in this later on, we will see, or we will observe that these addresses, some of these addresses like Shatha and Nirlajja, Vama, Vikathana, they have become a proper Nayaka variety by themselves. So the seeds, we can find the seeds in the text. And we even the Dakshina and the Drishta, okay, this has become a settled name types itself in the later works of the erotics as well as in the Natya text. Now, coming to the other classification, yeah, the Uttama Madhyama. There in the Vashika type, as Dr. Phadke had mentioned, the Vashika is someone who specializes in the company of the courtesans. Now, this is important because most of the later Shringara Nayakas or the Shringara Granthas that we come across, we have these kind of Nayakas who play a very dominant role, whether we take it as an Amarasutaka or other compositions. These are the Nayakas who actually feature more in number. So this Vashika, Bharata, he speaks of Uttama, Madhyama, Adhama. Yeah, that is the normal classification. But we also have 2 more, namely the Chatura and the Sampravartaka. The Chatura Nayaka is someone who can put up with the sorrow. Okay? So, and how he can manage and how he's adept in courting and pacifying the lover who is in anger. And the Sampravartaka, excuse me, I think that's a spelling error. The Pravartaka and Sampra, or the Sampravartaka, goes by either of these names. This is a much lower kind from the morally lower kind of Nayaka, who is of a degenerative type. So to a great extent, mostly like a Shatha Nayaka. So this is another classification of the Nayakas that we see in the Natya Shastra text. Yeah, the most popular ones, Dhiro Datta, Dhira Lalita, Dhira Uddata, and the Dhira Prashanta. Now, this I will actually say that the treatment of the Nayaka under these 4 categories have they have been handled in extensive manner, mostly by the dramaturgical works. So if we classify the works under the works of dramaturgy and the drama and the works of erotics, then we find these 4 mostly being handled by the dramaturgical works and not by the erotical works, like for Rasamanjari or any of the Shringara Manjari or all these. They don't really speak about these 4 kind of the Nayakas in any detail. Now, coming to the next stage, the Rudrabhatta and Rudrata and Dhananjaya. See, in Rudrabhatta's Sringara Tilaka, we come across the fourfold divisions of Anukula, Dakshina, Shatha, and Drishta. That is the first point where we see these four names mentioned as a Nayaka classification. And it is repeated by Rudrata also in his Kavya Alankara. And Dhananjaya in his Avaloka adds the Jeshtha, Madhyama, and the Adama classification to the Nayaka. And as he had pointed out, the Dhananjaya would have been the tipping point where from the settle you come to a more fluid kind of structure. Yeah, that was a very good observation that he had. Now coming to the Bhoja, very interesting. As he had already pointed out. Now Bhoja divides the Nayaka under certain categories. That is by guna, but that is by the pedigree. The Nayaka is either Uttama, Madhyama, or the Adhama. By Prakriti, that is by nature, he is a Satvika Nayaka, Rajasa, or the Tamasa Nayaka. By Pravriti, that is by his action towards the Nayaka, he is Pravrishta, Anukula, Dakshina, Shatha, or Drishta. And by Parigraha, that is the number of wives he takes, he is the Asadharana or the Sadharana. There is Asadharana with one wife and Sadharana with more than one wife. And interestingly, Bhoja remarks in his Shringara Manjari, Shringara Prakasha, as well as in the Saraswati Kantaparana also, he has mentioned this, that there is an intermixture of these possibilities. So when we work out the matrix, it comes to like 104 types of Nayakas can be made up of by these working. That's an interesting contribution of Bhoja. Going to the next, we have the Bhava Prakasha of Sharda Tanaya. In Bhava Prakasha, we find the threefold classification into the Jeshtha, that is the Uttama, Madhyama, and Adhama. Then again into the Dhirodata, Dhiralita. Then we have the Anukula, Dakshina, Shatha. So it is more of a repetition, not much of innovation can be found here. And the Vashika is mentioned here with its sub-varieties. Only thing is that the Chatura is left out. In the Natya Shastra, we had the Chatura. Therefore, we had 5 subdivisions. Here, there are only 4 sub-varieties in the Bhava Prakasha. And the 7 addresses, which we saw in the Natya Shastra, now these are amplified and some have been replaced and new categories are added by Sharda Tanaya. So totally we have the 11 kinds of addresses in Sharda Tanaya's Bhava Prakasha. Similarly, the Nayakas who have been addressed by the Nayika who is in anger, there are changes. There are 8 in number in Sharda Tanaya's classification. We go to the next phase, that is the other Alankarikas. Most of the, as mentioned, most of the Alankarikas, they use the Dhirodata classification. But later on, when we have the Rasarnav Sudhakara, he adds the Pati, Upapati, and the Vashika classification under it. And we have to remember that the Bengal school of the Alankarikas, led by Rupa Goswami in his Ujjwala Neelamani and all, they have accepted this classification that Rasarnav Sudhakara makes. Now, it is important because the Vaishnava Alankarikas, they were very close to the next stage of the development of this Nayaka lore, namely the Shringara Nayaka. Now, Bhanudatta, in his Rasa Manjari, we find the Pati, Upapati, Vashika, the Anukula, Dakshina, Shatha, Drishta. He adds 2 more, that is Mani and Chatura. And the Mani and Chatura, he would include under the Shatha Nayakas. The Uttama, Madhyama, and Adhama, that another mode of classification. Proshita. Now, this Proshita is a Nayaka type. You can correspond with the Proshita Bhartrika or Proshita Patika Nayika type. So, we have the first instance where one among the Ashtanayikas is being given a corresponding Nayaka variety. But at the same time, Bhanudatta also explicitly mentions or he disagrees with the contention that every Nayika should have a corresponding Nayaka variety. So wherever he felt was important, he has, but he has criticized the opinion, which means that during Bhanudatta, there were a development wherein the Ashtanayikas were assigned a Nayaka variety to each of them. So, what is this? Who are these who propose the Manin, Chatura, Proshita, or even Anabhigya? Actually, Anabhigya is more of a knave Nayaka. So, we are not very sure who those authors were. We only get references from the commentaries and the criticisms that we come across in the commentaries. Sridhar Dasa, in his anthology Sadukti Rasamrita, he mentions the Mani, Proshita, Gramya, and the Gramya can be equated with the Anabhigya variety, which has been mentioned in the Sadukti. So, and Virahin could correspond to the Virahodkandhita. So, this is the second mapping that we come across here. So, based on the various sub commentaries, these are the mapping that we see criticized or accepted by the commentators. That is, the Proshita was the Nayaka for the Proshita Bhartrika. Amilita Nayaka is proposed for the Purvanuraga or Ayoga Vipralambhita Nayaka. Okay, Virahin for the Virahodkandhita, Kalahita for the Kalahantarita, and Agata Bhartrika for, I'm sorry, I think it just went Agata Bhartrika should come for the Vasaka Sachika. Okay, it comes for the Vasaka Sachika. And Shatha for the Khandita. We do not have the mapping for the Anukula and the Abhisarika type of things. It is merely references. We are not giving any credence to this mapping. Then we come across another work by name Padya Rachana by Lakshmana. This is a post-Bhanudatta anthology. And besides Mani and the Chatura and the Anabhigya, he adds two more varieties of the Nayaka here, namely the Shishu and the Vruddha. He also illustrates one more Nayaka, Deshantara Upagata. That is one who has come back from his travel. And he corresponds this to the Avasita Pravasapatika Nayaka. So each of these Ashtanayikas actually were having many other subdivisions also. So to that extent, the later works had gone into the details. And even Bhanudatta has given an example for this Agata Bhartrika in his Rasaparijata. There is another interesting fourfold classification. It is not found in the explicitly mentioned in the Sanskrit rhetoric works, but there is a Telugu Kumara Sambhava by Nanni Choda. It's a 12th century poem. Here we have the Nayika saying that she would not accept any of the four kinds of Nayakas, namely the Bhadra, the Panchala, the Dattaka, and the Kuchimara. Now, these four Nayakas we do not usually come across in our dramaturgical texts, but in the Kamashastra text we come across these four kinds of Nayakas. That is, Bhadra is one who is involved in excess of dalliance, and she says that Panchala is too fine and delicate of manner. Dattaka is someone who would purchase the love by exchange of money. And Kuchimara is someone who uses magic and medicine. Now, why the word Kuchimara, the word itself is very interesting, because there is a tantra by name Kuchimara Tantra. In the Kuchimara Tantra, we find a lot of formulas and a lot of mantras, Manimantra Aushadhas being mentioned for the Vashikarana. So maybe one who follows the Kuchimara Tantra is a Kuchimara Nayaka. So that was the logic of nomenclature. So the Nayika in the poem says that she wanted a real lover free from all these flaws. So this is another fourfold Nayaka classification we come across. And last but not the least, the Sringara Manjari. Now, in one of the pratignas that Akbar Shah makes in the Shringara Manjari is that he would, in addition to the existing Nayaka Bheda, will explain the Bhadra, Datta, Kuchimara, Panchala and equate them with Hastini, Chitrini, Shankhini and Padmini Nayikas. And the logic is that the Chitrini being the artistically accomplished woman, it would be the type to which the courtesan as a class would answer. So the assignment of Dattaka type of man to Chitrini was a very significant. The Panchala is an artist. Therefore, it would appear significant to associate him with the Padmini, the delicate Nayika. And Kuchimara is an adept in matter of inducing love. Therefore, Shankhini, Shankha by itself is a hard. So someone who is hard to please or someone who is very hard to be aroused. So the Kuchimara would be assigned to the Shankhini type of the Nayika. And Hastini, because she demands a lot of, she has a lot of demands. Therefore, Bhadra, who indulges in the excess of dalliance and sport, would have been the, or this would have been the reason why Bhadra is assigned there. So all these are our own assumptions as to why they were assigned to the respective Nayikas in the Shringara Manjari. So coming to a conclusion, yeah, this most of it Dr. Parimal has already shown. We come across the Nayikas subdivisions under these different types. That is into Pati, Upapati, Vashika, Uttama, Madhyama, Adhama. We have the Shatha, Anukula, Dakshina, Chatura, Manin, Drishta, and the sub-varieties of Chatura and sub-varieties of Shanta. The Shatha is also there. And the last is the Proshita, Amilita, and the Virahi. So this way, and yeah, this is the last one. So it's a wide scope when it comes to the Nayaka classification in the text that we have. And when we have, we also come across certain commentarial literature, like for Amarushataka, there is a commentary by name Amoda. In the Amoda commentary, the commentator, before the start of every verse, makes a mention as to what is the kind of the Nayika who is being described and what is the kind of Nayaka who is being described in this particular shloka. For every shloka, this classification is made in the Amoda commentary. And I think inspired by this, later on, when Padams were written on Shahaji by people like Vasudeva Kavi or like Panchadam Ramabharati, in their compositions also we come across that every Padam they have mentioned the Nayika and the Nayika names. Now these books are actually published by the Saraswati Tanjavur Saraswati Mahal Library. So this is a very wide subject, and from the what I have spoken is mostly from the Shastra point of view. From the Prayoga point of view, as a male dancer, what are the difficulties that a male dancer would face in choosing the repertoire, choosing the correct piece, and how do you do the Abhinaya? Because it's very, very important as to how you do the Abhinaya. And one important point that he had mentioned is that the same Nayaka would be portrayed differently in the composition by the different circumstances which is built around the particular Nayaka. So same Nayaka might appear different. I remember one Saveri Padam Unnai Dudu Anipine. In this, the Nayika is addressing the Duti. And very interestingly, this is a Duti Sambhoga Vanchita Nayika. It's a very interesting Nayika variety, Duti Sambhoga Vanchita. And we have a very famous Amarushataka shloka, Nisheshachyuta Chandanam, which corresponds to this particular Nayika variety, wherein she would inquire the Duti, that is her friend who is a Sakhi, whom she has sent as a messenger to Lord Subramanya. And in the end, the hint is given that the Subramanya, who is supposed to be the Uttama Nayaka, okay, is someone who has fallen down from his standards. So that is the kind of the hints that we get from these padas. It was a very, very interesting talk by Dr. Parimal. Really congratulate you on your efforts. And I think these kind of expansion of the Shastra into the Prayoga is something very, very important, because the Shastra cannot be static. The Shastra has to evolve itself into, it has to cast itself into the needs of the needs which the Prayoga demands. But at the same time, we have to remember the most important guideline which most of our Shastric scholars like Abhinav Gupta or most importantly Mahima Bhatta and Kuntaka speak is the Auchitya. We have to remember whatever we do, it has to be within the scope of the propriety. When we do that, I think it will be a Rasanubhava and not a Rasabhasa. Thank you so much.
That was an excellent addition to what Dr. Parimal presented. Though you did start off by saying that he had covered most of the points, but I think Dr. Shekhar, you have given so many other aspects that not only Parimal, not only male dancers, but all dancers in general can derive inspiration from. So I think we really need to thank you for that. There are a few questions which have come in. So if I may ask them now. There is one which is addressed to Parimal. It is interesting to see the corresponding Nayika and Nayika, but are there some songs available where there are sets of Nayikas with a corresponding Nayika, which can be performed together by the male and female dancers?
So like an Ukta Prayukta or a conversation, is that what probably she's trying to
I don't know whether
say?
she's meaning in the form of a conversation, but whether the correspondence can be done in the same item by both the Nayaka and the Nayika.
I think 2 points here. There are some padams which are in the form of this conversation. For example, in Marathi, there is this padam of I think Shahaji, Konaka Vadu Ghadite, which is the exactly translation of a Subhashita, if I'm not mistaken, wherein Shiva is, has just arrived at Kailasa and he's knocking at the door, and Parvati refuses to open the door, and there is a riddle. She just keeps on asking who's there at the door, and Shiva keeps on giving different adjectives by which he's known. And Konakavada Ughadite is what in Marathi it's there, but in Sanskrit, if I remember the Subhashita correctly, it goes as Kastatvam Shuli, and she starts replying. So I wouldn't say that there are so many compositions available, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever available published material I have got to see, I've seen very few of those. But in the context of treatment of choreography, that is very much possible. And as Sir mentioned, Anabhidnya Nayaka, which has been termed as a Rasabhasa in Rasamanjari, it is very interesting to note that in some of the Braja texts, the Anabhidnya Nayaka has been recognized. In my research, I did not include the Braja text because I wanted to keep it limited to a certain era also and certain languages also. But in the Braja text, the Anabhidnya has been accepted, and inspired from that, I did a Braja Padam in my very first performance on the Nayaka, which is Mugdha Nayaka, Hasa Parihasa Kahe Mitva, wherein he's a Mugdha and the Nayika is a Madhya, and she's trying to entice him, and he doesn't really understand what are these different ways in which she's trying to entice him. And the whole Padam goes is in the response of his response of what she's doing. But in the treatment of choreography, both the Nayaka and the Nayika have been shown. So I think it might work in 2 levels. If you get a text which has both the genders at play, or if you have the response or reaction of one gender, then the other gender can be shown in the treatment of choreography.
Okay. There is one question. When you choose a particular padam from the Nayaka perspective, would it make a difference when you're performing yourself or when you're teaching it to somebody else to perform?
Yes. So the question is from the angle of performance and pedagogy. I think that is what probably she's trying to say, that if I'm performing a certain padam and when I'm in the role of a teacher and teaching it, does it make a difference? Yes, I think so, because when I'm performing, I'm thinking in the context of my body and face and the way I will perform it and give full justice to it. When I'm teaching the same padam to a female student, I will have to make certain things clear as to in the context of nuances, in the context of the stances, the sthanas, in the context of how the whole Hava Bhava Hela is addressed in the context of Nayaka and how it is addressed in the context of Naika. So this will have to be made clear on the level of pedagogy. And same applies also when I'm teaching it to a male student also. I'll have to take into consideration what his strengths are in the context of projection of Abhinaya, in the context of projection of his Angika. So on a teaching level, it also depends upon the skill sets which I'm getting to see in both the gender, be it the male student or the female student, and then accordingly my teaching process has to be molded.
Okay, there is a question for Dr. Shekhar. The question is that, can we say that ancient playwrights did have the Nayaka and his emotions as the main focus when they wrote certain plays? Could we have some examples? I think that is what is being asked.
I think
main focus being the Nayaka.
The entire bedrock of our aesthetic tradition has been the rasa. So the rasa has to be delineated out of the sthayi bhavas, which is going to be depicted using the anubhava and other vibhavas. So until unless a playwright keeps this in mind, he is going to end up writing something that might not produce the effect that he would have envisioned in his mind. So yes, obviously the bhavas have to be kept in mind by the playwright, and he has to actually there are extensive precautions given to the playwrights with respect to so many different, right, from the language that he is going to employ and the situations that he is going to delineate. I think a threadbare analysis has been made by the later dramaturgical works. So yeah, I think that is definitely the case.
There is one question which says there is a character called the Nata and there is one called the Vidushaka. So how would they be categorized or analyzed with reference to the Nayaka?
In my presentation, I have only taken the Nayaka variety. These comes under the Upanayakas or the Nayaka Sahayas. There are actually 82 bhavas mentioned in the Bhoja's Shringara Prakasha. Okay, Pitha Marda and all there are Pita, Cheta and Vidushaka. All they are all the Upanayakas, or we can say the one who plays as a second kick to the hero. So the treatment is also extensive treatment for these characters have also been made in the text.
I'm glad that that question came, because then we could also know about the Upanayakas in the process. There is one regarding whether has this kind of a classification been done in any other aesthetic tradition other than India?
I'm not very sure whether I can answer that question because I have not studied the other aesthetic traditions. So I'll just skip the question.
Parimal, would you like to add anything?
I'm not aware of that, because for that probably Shakespeare and those traditions have to be considered. But I'm neither an expert in Shakespeare's plays as well, so probably I wouldn't be an expert on that as well.
Actually, it has come from a professor of English literature who has sent it to me. So probably They're very eager to know whether there is some such a classification in the Greek tradition or Western
Yeah,
tradition.
Western traditions are Greek
Yeah,
tradition.
I'm not aware of the reason why it has been asked, but I gather it must be for this, because when they listen to the classification that both of you have put forward, it's almost exhaustive. I think probably every aspect has been tackled. So probably they wanted to also know if it has been done elsewhere, either from just a knowledge point of view or probably from a sense of nationalism as well. I do not know, but so
We
that was
have a
the.
very closer corresponding theatrical form in the Japan, wherein something very similar to the Kuriatan style we have in the Japanese theater. But I don't think unless we really study that, whether we'll be able to draw any conclusions based on that. It's an interesting question, something to ponder upon.
Um, Suman Badami asks, maybe in Sangam works where no deity is addressed but a human emotion from both sides. I think this was a comment on the earlier question regarding specific compositions for the Nayaka and Nayika. So is there anything that can be added from the Sangam works with reference to?
My work, I think I have mostly started from Natya Shastra and stuck to Sanskritam, and afterwards more related to Bharatanatyam. I stuck to the Telugu and also the works of Tanja Quartet. So I think I have not gone through the Tamil works of Sangamira.
I think it will be worthwhile to refer to Dr. Nagaswami's study on the Silappatikaram, and I think that will be really useful. Definitely, the Silappatikaram and the Manimekalai have a lot of references and cross-references to our Natya traditions.
If there is anything that either of you or Dr. Jayashree would like to add, because I think this has been quite a different topic, and probably people are still trying to digest all the information, because the classification of Nayika has been done very extensively. People are very familiar with it as well. This was something a little unusual. So I think these are the questions that have come in.
I think, all these texts deal with Nayaka. There's been so many, I mean, we've just seen Nayaka pertaining more to theater rather than performance. When performance of dance was taken over by women, I think the focus changed completely. And they, so to address their feelings, more of these Nayika Padams or Nayika, Kritis or Varnam, all these came into existence. But I think, in this entire analysis, like when we talk about the Ashtanayika is just one emotional condition of the woman at that particular point of time. Like when we describe, if the lady is getting ready and waiting for her lover, first she is Vasaka Sajja, then she becomes Vipralabdha when he doesn't turn up, then she becomes Viravad Kantita, then she, in the same Varnam or in the same Padam, we can depict all this. And I think the same, because once she is Viravad Kantita, and finally when he arrives, she is Khandita and she rejects him completely. And like Yahi Madhava. Then after that, she is very upset, and then she realizes that she is Kalahantarita, and that is where, Parimal brought out that place where, she's trying to patch up. This is the same thing that the male also goes through. So I think it has been a very thought-provoking analysis by both the young scholars. Of course, gained a lot more from the expert because of the, immense, his erudition comes across so beautifully because you've really covered so many texts. But it's interesting how through the years, that is from Nati Shastra till about medieval period, the Nayika concept has also been explored so much as we have the Nayika in the Nati Shastra. And one very interesting thing that you said, sir, was how the Nayika addresses the Nayaka. That itself gives the quality of the Nayaka. So that is a very beautiful analysis, and I think it's something that you must include in your study.
There's just actually one more question which has come in, and that is there a specific point in history when the Nayika compositions took precedence despite the many classifications of later authors? Is there any specific historical period when this happened?
Well, on the level of performance, I think from the medieval period itself, as I mentioned in the Rasamanjari, that even if it has Nayika classifications, as Sir mentioned, it is through the eyes of the Nayika. So the performing body is always the female. It is interesting to note. And that's why whatever has been seen has been from the angle of the female. She is performing. So this is a very interesting aspect which gets linked, that these verses have been written from the angle of the Nayika, but then which also means that if we try to do an interdisciplinary study, that the performer probably was the female and not the male in the context of the court and in the context of the temple traditions also. I'm not quite sure whether we can point at a certain date, but we can definitely point at the period, and the medieval period definitely clearly demarcates the fact that especially when the court tradition started in a very strong manner, that the performing body was the female dancer and the text written was for her to express.
There is also
point, I think I can.
One aspect just to add.
Yeah.
There is also one theory, a thought process in the Vaishnava tradition, which considers even the male as the female devotee, and that there is only Krishna as the Nayaka. So it could have also been that, because many of the composers, rather most of the Vagyakaras you can find are the male composers, but they have taken the Nayaka's position. So maybe the influence of that thought process was also there. Yes, you would like to add something?
I just wanted to say that even in the Ramayana period, that is Treta Yuga, it is the female dancers who are entertaining in the court, whether it is in Ravana's court or anywhere else also. And the same thing we find during the Dwapara Yuga in Mahabharata. So the fact that the female was always considered as the one who can entertain became, the dance aspect of it became her prerogative. And that is why I think more compositions related to the Nayika's feelings and how the Nayika looks at even the Lasyangas are all based on Nayika's feeling of the Nayaka. There's a vast variety. So I think it's been in our tradition, though we have had male dancers, at some point of time, even I used to wonder if in Nati Shastra, the 100 disciples were all men, they were all rishis, then why did this situation come where, the women took over as dancers? Because even the Karanas are learnt by the rishis. But anyway, we have also that evidence from that period, from Treta Yuga, that, and even in the Vedic texts. So I suppose, she has been given importance as we say, Lasyanga is Lasya, and that grace aspect. So that is why he says, if we have to include Kaishiki Vritti, we need Apsaras. We need female, and that is why Apsaras are created.
Even I think till recent time, most of the Nattuvanars were the male, and it was the performers were the women.
Yes. So when we of course take the concept of grace, I think we can understand the other wider connotation of grace, which is the anugraha of the Lord. So coming to the end of this session, I think it is my duty now to I officially propose the vote of thanks. At the outset, I would like to thank our expert, Dr. Ramachandra Shekhar, whose erudition not just added value, but it has, I think, set all of us thinking that there are so many works which are as yet unexplored in this particular area. And I hope that it will give an impetus to all those who are listening in, male or female, to go into these works. So thank you so much, Dr. Shekhar, for agreeing to be part of our TYRF today and giving your expert comments. I should actually thank Dr. Rama Devi for making it possible for Dr. Shekhar to be here amidst us today. Congratulations also to Dr. Parimal Phadke for doing a very thorough analytical exposition, and also bringing in the Prayoga element, because as our Guru keeps telling again and again, it would be of no value if these texts just remained as textbooks somewhere in the shelf, because they are all for performance. So the Shastra Prayoga Samanvaya has to come in. And so thank you, Dr. Parimal, for that. We will be failing in our duty if we do not thank our Guru, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. As Dr. Jayashree said at the outset, she has been guiding us throughout, giving us courage that not just that we are on the right path, but giving us inputs time and again, and helping us go forward. So we thank her for that constant support. From the Center of Excellence Art and Culture, we would like to thank our Secretary, Shri Abhay Shishimal Jain Ji, Associate Secretary, and our Principal, Dr. S. Padmavati. On behalf of Nrityodaya Academy of Performing Arts, we would like to thank Mr. Ramesh and Mahindra Finance for backing them up throughout in this venture. And as was mentioned by Ms. Aishwarya, who did a very good job as an MC, we request our young researchers out there to please submit your abstracts to us at the earliest so that we can sync you with experts like Dr. Shekhar. And it is, every session is a learning experience for us. So we really look forward to your presence in future sessions as well. I would like to thank Master Vishak Ramakrishnan for his very melodious rendition, and Ms. Srividya for the technical support. So thank all of you once again, and we hope to meet each one of you in our future sessions. Namaste, Shubharat.